All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if its Google search, local and city Google search, has BSS, yes or no. So we're back in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video, home video, somewhere on this profile. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if the boudoir photography business is rising, we're probably bringing in everyone across the entire intent spectrum here. High intent on the left to low intent on the right. And, if a boudoir photography business is falling, most likely we're missing chunks of people that we're not bringing in through this boudoir, somewhere on this intent spectrum. So over on the left, we got the highest intent peeps. So we're talking about BSS here. Get to that in a little bit. And highest intent peeps, they're searching for a boudoir photo shoot right now in their city on social media, social search, or on Google search. And we're over on the other end on the right, we got our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, and that's getting in front of the lowest intent people in our city, which is actually the highest volume of people. But with that brand, we currently only work with the boudoir photographers running around 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, now on to BSS, boudoir search sameness. This is when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots, we're on page 2 or deeper. I mean, we're dead right off the bat, man. Because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They are page 1 search only. So approximately 80% of searches, dude, that's literally the bulk of the market. This is who we're focused on. This is who we care about. And that's page 1 only for them. And 1 slot on page 1, that still ain't good enough because there's 10 organic slots on page 1. If 9 are other boudoir photographers, that means a buyer, potential buyer, is simply going to be, click and open everyone's link, everyone's website, blah, 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 blah. And actually, getting price quotes from everyone, price shopping everyone, price comparing everyone. Probably won't even remember who they reached out to. So there'll be so many people. Page 1 only though, so we're assuming the bulk, that we're only focused on the 80% here, approximately 80%. They're page 1 only peeps. Now 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal. It's a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So yeah, basically everyone knows about market saturation. Someone gets a new iPhone and they throw out their Google My Business profile that they are now a boudoir photographer. They got their boudoir photography website, competing with us to rank on page 1. Okay, cool. Also, someone gets a new camera. They're competing with us to, now they're posting in the mom groups on Facebook saying they now offer boudoir as well. And so market saturation, market always gets more and more saturated. Markets always get more and more saturated over time. And we saw, big market saturation when COVID hit. People lost their jobs, couldn't work, still needed to earn money though. And everyone's got a great camera attached to their phone. That's when a ton of boudoir photographers hopped in, making the market more and more saturated. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this one basically nobody knows about because the implicit belief of page 1 equality, which is false, was kind of just, accepting that, or kind of implicitly agreeing without even thinking about it, that, yeah, every boudoir photographer gets, 0 or 1 slots on page 1. And if I lose, if I was on page 1, but then I got knocked off by new boudoir photographer with their website, that's what happens. And, I've seen that this is the #1, from what I've seen, this is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, is simply accepting this as, assuming as normal. It's not normal. It's not normal to have this few number of slots on page 1 of Google. It's not normal to, be knocked off page 1 and just lie there like that. Google actually will give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to take with our effort. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in 10 days by using this new method I've developed. And so the false belief of page 1 equality, or aka falsely believing that there's nothing we can do to hop back up on page 1 from page 2, has been, from what I've seen, the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. Because now we know approximately 80% of searches will never even see you if you're on page 2. And we also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So we're building up our universe here on the left side, our micro universe. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and page 1, the false belief of page 1 equality, which makes people believe nothing's possible, nothing can help them. but it's, you know, kind of a box that they're stuck in, but they break through the box, they puncture through the box, they can see outside and they see, oh, there is a solution. Because finally, we did find a solution because we invented it. Discovered that BSS boudoir search sameness is treated with social search saturation, aka our S cubed methodology. And it works exactly as it says, social search saturation. We saturate social search for the highest intent keywords that boudoir buyers are searching right now to buy a boudoir photo shoot in our city. Highest intent, closest to the money, easiest to convert, highest conversion rates. And the interesting thing about S-cubed methodology is this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully outcompete a saturated market, and it can work relatively quickly. Obviously, the one other solution would be brand, having a brand, but dude, that takes like minimum 5 years or 10 years to get. We ain't got that time anymore. AI is taking more people's jobs. We need maximum page one on Google now. So, how does SQ methodology successfully overcome and still grow a business with massive market saturation of boudoir photographers entering the market? So, let's say we got a million boudoir photographers, and we're in Austin, Texas. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they're a boudoir photographer, and everyone's trying to rank page one on Google, because that is still where approximately 90% of searches go. And we decided to max out SQ'd methodology. So we're ranking for the highest buyer intent keywords across social search, so across all the social networks. Let's say we're taking like the first 300 slots, and as a result, we are these are kind of the small streams, the small rivers off the backside of the Andes that then flow to the Amazon River, big Amazon River, which is page one on Google. So we're also taking the first 300 slots page one on Google. Well, first 300 slots on Google, 10 organic slots per page on Google. That'd be the first 30 pages. We're taking them all up. And so anytime a buyer searches for a boudoir photographer in Austin, anywhere on social or on Google, basically on Google, I gotta go to page like 31 to essentially see any of our competitors. And we already know approximately 80% of searches never even hit page two. They're page one only searches. So basically no one's gone to page 31. And so in this case, even if there's a million boudoir photographers, whose boudoir photography business is growing? Ours. Well, actually maxed out SQ'd methodology. We took over all this social search. We saturated it, and as a result, saturated Google search as well, on Google page one. So, and this thing works way faster than building a brand. And also, SQ methodology is the fastest way to build a brand. It helps to build a brand, cuts down the time on building a brand. So it's like extra benefit, long-term benefit with that. Now, once we treat BSS with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility. So an initial benefit of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. Now, this is awesome because this happens instantly. For every slot we take on page one on Google, we're kicking another boudoir photographer off and essentially making them invisible, because we know that, and approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page two. They stay they're page one only searches. So we're essentially making an entire competitor disappear. So this is like an initial bonus that we get right ASAP, along with our our slots on page one that we get. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. And with this, we actually want to hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And when we do that, we want to hit recommended minimum of 3 out of 10, because basically all the other boudoir photographers will, they'll have 1 out of 10 if they're even on page one. And so our 3 versus their 1, we're going to look amazing. Kind of subconsciously, buyers are going to say, oh, why does Google keep recommending this person over and over and over? Maybe they'll only click on our 3 links, and not even look at any of our competitors. Who knows? There's also the very, very small chance someone may have 2 slots on page one. So do 3 slots, basically dominating everyone, no matter who's on page one. And that's boudoir search visibility. And we also know that boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer VBP. So we got our micro universe here, a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the twin horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we now have a solution. SQ'd methodology works way faster than 5 to 10 years to build a brand. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results using basically, so my results using SQ'd methodology. I want to rank for the keyword term BLCS boudoir. I want to rank as much as I could page one on Google. So go here to the invisible slots, or the organic slots. We got slot 1 here, me. Slot 2 here, me. Slot 3 here, me. Slot 4 here, TikTok, me. Slot 5 here, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page one to 9 out of 10 slots on page one. And we actually did this all with S-cubed methodology, pure S-cubed. We did not, in 10 days. So, okay, I know these are results I got. And up to the main event here. Going to see if this boudoir photography business has, we're going to see if it has BSS for its one lone Google search here. Looks like we combined local and city. Search for this one. All right. So here we go. Goshen, Indiana. All right, they got 1 slot, 2 slots. All right, 2 out of 10 slots. All right. So BSS is not present, but they did not hit the recommended minimum of the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 Google page one slots. But hey, at least I don't have BSS. That's kind of the first thing we got to solve. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you went and did the local search for yourself and the city, or local search for the highest intent buyer keywords and the city search for the highest intent buyer keywords, and you had BSS for one or both, or you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one for either one or both of those searches. And you now realize page one equality was kind of automatically accepted before, but now you realize it's a false belief. Now you realize, wow, we truly can take as many page one slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation with how, basically people get new iPhones, throw up their Google My Business profile and their website, and they shoot boudoir. So get new gear, increase the number of boudoir photographers over time. It's always increasing, and you're actually thinking ahead. You're seeing AI. You accept it's okay. It's probably going to start steal more people's jobs. So what we're actually going to need to do is it's going to force a bunch of boudoir photographers to come into the marketplace that were not boudoir photographers before, but they have, everyone's got a camera on their phone. And so you want to fortify your position ahead of AI taking everyone's jobs, and I don't know, could that double the amount of boudoir photographers in the market? No idea. But you want to fortify your position before then. You kind of want to get more slots on page one before that happens to kick out current competitors, and get even more slots on page one to fortify your position against the coming influx of new boudoir photographers that will inevitably be coming into the marketplace. So more sellers for the same number of buyers as AI takes more and more people's jobs. And so you want to fortify you want to kick out the current competitors, fortify your position against future competitors. And you also want the, your CNS cubed methodology is the only solution that you can see that allows you to do that as a boudoir photographer. And you actually want kind of the extra back-end benefits from this as well, which is every day we execute S-cubed methodology successfully. We're actually building these thematic keyword columns that are plugged, kind of like spokes, that are plugged into our main brand across our social channels, across the internet, our website, our brand name, our social handle name. And as we do more and more of that, every day, it actually increased the probability we get recommended an AI overview, this premium spot placement up at the top above everything. And many times, it's literally only recommending one studio at a time, based off of thematic keyword relevance, authority, things like that, and frequency. And also every day we execute methodology correctly. So it's building up that momentum in the background for AI overview and also standard AI search and all the different AI search platforms. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, build up those thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, kind of like spokes on a wheel. We're increasing the probability AI recommends us in search into the future. Kind of increasing that probability every single day we successfully execute. And you also see that kind of the earlier you jump on this, the more distance you put, kind of the more momentum is built, kind of more fortification, kind of fortifying the levees like New Orleans against the ocean because it's below sea level, and building momentum for back-end AI search, AI overview recommendations forever into the future. Well, for every day that SQ methodology is successfully executed against all current and future competitors who are not running SQ methodology. Because my current plan is to only run it with one boudoir photographer per city. And so if I were to work with a competitor and that happened, instead you would have to rederive and refigure out and retest SQ methodology to figure it out for yourself. And you would never really know if you actually derived it correctly. But even so, you'd have to then go execute it on your own, which you'd have less confidence in, because again, you would not have known if you've actually derived it correctly. And you'd have to equal our output of me working with your competitor to maintain our gap where we're already ahead. You'd have to actually double or triple our output to actually close the gap and overtake us, kind of suck away that thematic keyword kind of momentum, back into momentum for AI search engines to steal it away from us. So you realize, screw that. It's better to simply be, the first mover on this, kind of kick out current competitors from page one, actually increase, 4 to 5 year position against future competitors as AI takes people's jobs, force them to become boudoir photographers. And so you're saying SQ methodology is the best path for you because you want, page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need that on your way to become #1 boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. My DMs are closed right now. Slots are currently closed. And when you do open up, or when I do open it up, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify for using SQ methodology.